Hello everyone, my name is Michael Geddes and welcome to the first episode of SkiRace TV. Definitely got some exciting racing ahead of us with the first big classic, which will be the Hawkesbury 120 in August. Then in the October long weekend we've got the Grafton Bridge to Bridge, and then in early December we've got the Sydney Bridge to Bridge Waterski Classic. And then you've got your Victorian races such as the Southern 80, Robinvale, Mildura, and also there's a new exciting race this year which is the Australian Super Series, which is a 2-day event held over 3 rounds in Queensland, Victoria and New South Wales, which is going to be awesome for the lead up to the World Selection races and the World Titles in 2013. In this week's episode we're going to head down to Ziggs Marine to have a chat to Jason Walmsley with our on and off the water segment. Today we're down here at Ziggs Marine talking to Jason Walmsley, so we're just going to go through a couple of different ropes. So you've got different ropes, Jason. What's the difference between, say, this roll and that roll? Obviously there's a difference in it. What's the difference?
Yeah, look, basically there's four sizes of rope in this particular brand. That particular one you've got in your hand there is a 6mm, which would suit skiers, say from 95 kilo onwards. 95, yeah, okay. Here we have a 5mm, which is your junior size rope. This is typically a 200 metre reel, and if you compare these two, you can soon see the difference between what a 5mm and a 6mm equates to in volume, which is also weight.
Okay. With speed, you know, like, does the speed determine what the weight or the length of the rope that I'm going to run?
Yeah, the speed will determine the length of the rope. The individual will determine the weight of the rope. So obviously a 50 kilo junior on a 6mm, the rope will dip quite severely. Okay. And likewise a 100 kilo guy trying to come out on a small junior rope most likely will snap. So the weight of the individual determines the weight of the rope, and the speed determines the length of the rope. The faster you go,
the longer rope. Yeah. Okay. So
yeah, boats come into that a little bit too. Yep. But you know, generally the fast skiers on the river will probably use 300 plus foot. Okay. Those lapping around in a rough style race, you know, at 80 miles an hour, generally around 240 foot. Okay. Yeah. And then juniors probably around 180 foot.
180 foot. Okay. Righto. So basically with your rope, so you've got your 6mm, which is up to sort of 95 kilos onwards, and then you've got like a junior, which you go to say the 5mm rope.
Yeah, there's also 2 sizes in between, which we run 5.3 and 5.6, which caters for, you know, individuals in between that weight. But basically that's the smaller rope, that's the heavier rope with a couple in between, so you cater for all sizes. Yeah,
okay. When you get your new rope, is there anything we need to do before we go racing? Do I just put a loop on the end, put my rope in?
Yeah, I mean, look, you can run it straight off the reel. It's good if you get the opportunity to run it out behind a car. Yep. Give it a good stretch. Let the rope sit for a couple of hours in the sun behind the car. Maybe creep the car forward, 5 to 10 feet. Typically, a new rope will stretch around about 5%. 5%, okay. And you're best off to stretch it, and that way it eliminates any stretching when you're skiing on it.
Yep. Okay. Right. Well, that's pretty much it for our segment of ski ropes. Whilst we're talking about ropes, you might have seen down on a lot of the boats these black things. What are they? What do they do, Jason?
Well, they're basically a ski racing hole shot. You load the rope into the hole shot rather than tape your rope up and down the deck. Saves a lot of time and a lot of hassle. It's quite foolproof, so it avoids any knotting, which is the last thing you need when you're running a long rope out of your boat. There's no risk of running ropes have an observer's feet or anything like that that can get tangled. So you basically load your rope into that. You can do that at home even before the race. You don't have to do it on the day. You turn up, you slip that into your boat. You need to just secure the end. Yep. One end goes to the ski pole there. The other end just goes up to the deck where the skier sits as he jumps off the boat. The rope just simply releases from the hole shot. I can just give a quick example now if I walk away and pull this rope out.
So basically this is going to be mounted to your ski pole. As you're running the ropes out, it's pulling that out.
Yep. The hole shot remains in the boat.
Yep.
The rope's tight, and off you go.
So how much rope will you get normally in one of these? Like,
well, that's what we call a 200-foot hole shot. They will hold round about just a little over 200 feet.
Okay.
About 220 feet. So they're good for ropes up to around 240 feet, or we have the long ones which will hold at least 300 feet.
Okay, so you can get different lengths, like obviously the bigger boats, superclass boats, they're going to have a longer rope, so they're going to
they'll have the big ones, and the majority of people will use the smaller one.
Small one,
yeah.
Okay, yep, excellent. We're just going to go do a quick ad break. If you'd like to see your business on Ski Race TV, send us an email at skiracetv@chrismicindustries.com.au.
See Chrismic Industries for all your action camera needs. Look us up on the web at www.chrismicindustries.com.au and check us out on Facebook at Chrismic Industries.
Right, while we're down here, we're going to have a look at some different options with handles. So you've got a couple of different types. What's the difference you've got here? You've got one here that looks like it's a full webbing. So then you've got your rope, and then you've got your centre bar that you can then mount.
Yeah, this is just the style I prefer to ski with. I've always skied with that full webbing type harness. It's basically a stronger way of doing it, rather than having your rope attached to your webbing there. It's a full web right to your V, and it just stops any fraying. A lot of your wear takes place where your front bar comes through the rope there, the friction there, and a little bit of movement that you do get. So most skiers with this style of setup will probably do a new rope every season or so. But this style of setup, it's good for a couple of seasons at least. So and we've made it so that a lot of skiers like to start with their ski in a V, so you can still run a rope, as long a rope V as you like.
Okay, yes.
That way we're keeping the weight down. If you have a webbing harness that is too long, it tends to flap in the wind.
Yeah, okay.
You keep the webbing short, and
then you can still run. Still run your long V. Because when I used to ski, I always had a long V because I skied with I come out wrapped up with my skiing side. So and then I suppose you got here is you've got some extra reinforcement. So then you've got
we haven't got a front bar fitted. These are just blanks. Because the bars are fitted to the individual. But basically we just have a centre bar there. We fixed the bar in with stainless steel coach screws. The bars are drilled out on my lathe, and that's fixed to the required position. You can have a single bar, you can have two bars, or if you want to go berserk, you could have three, and that gives you a different skiing position for different forms of water.
Righto. So then you can muck around with your position, because then that's going to play with your technique and how you stance.
That will adjust your stance. Some skiers like to get over the front a lot. Some skiers like to have an upright stance. Two bars will allow you to play with your skiing position a little bit, and also vary that from smooth to rough water.
So you could, with this setup, you could always have a bar for smooth water when you're going fast, and then you could have another bar for rough water when you need to.
That's right.
Need to get back.
I actually run 3 bars on mine. That's probably a little bit of an overkill, but certainly always 2. But not to say that you can't run 2 bars on that style either. So you see more and more skiers today running multiple bars.
Okay, So with your handles before the new race season, is there anything we really need to look at to make sure, because the last thing you want to do is be going down the first straight and for a handle to snap or a rope to break,
100%. You definitely want to check. This style of harness is good because it's webbed, so it's quite
strong.
This section down here where you've got your rope running through the end of your webbed section, you want to check that rope realistically every race, because you just never know what might happen. Keep it away from oil, sunlight, petrol. But this is your lifeline. You don't want to have any hiccups with your harness.
I notice actually these are sewn in between there, so obviously that's going to stop the rope from pulling out as well.
That's right. We also run some rubber on the inside of the harness here, which gives you added grip around your wetsuit, which takes some weight off your backhand.
It's going to stop your handle from slipping around. You can
even go one step further and sew this rubber on your suit as well, so you've got rubber on rubber, which will drastically save your backhand on those long races.
So we'll just have a look at this one here. So that's basically your...
It's your traditional style set of harnesses. A lot of skiers just still like to use. You probably see 75% of skiers still using that style of rope.
Okay, yeah. So basically, this part of the handle is still the same. You've just got the webbing.
Yeah, that's right. We've just replaced the rope with the webbing.
Yep.
Which is, I feel, a stronger way to do it. But yeah, some skiers just still like to stick to what they know, and this works quite well so long as you just keep an eye on the rope.
Okay, yep. I suppose the question you probably get asked all the time: where do you put the front bar? You know, is there a rule of thumb, or is it?
There's a rough rule of thumb. For me, I think if I was starting off skiing and I didn't know where to put it, what I generally get people to do is to put the rear handle on your armpit.
Yep.
And a stretched arm like that.
Okay.
And that's where I would suggest to start.
That's a starting point.
That's a starting point. You might creep it forward a little bit, creep it back a little bit, but that's the easiest place to start.
With your handle, once you've done that, say if you had it too far forward, what would that make you do on the ski? You would be more...
It will get you over the front of the ski more. It might make your ski nosedive into waves a little bit more.
Okay.
It might also put a lot more strain on your back because you're skiing in a hunch position. So if you feel that you're skiing that way, possibly try and move your bar back, which will get your weight back on your ski a little bit more. Again, it's just personal preference and a little bit of trial and error.
And I suppose the opposite way, if you had your handle too far backwards, then you would tend to be back-footed more.
Yeah, the biggest giveaway if people are skiing with a bent arm, like that's generally saying that your handle's too far back.
Okay, yes.
And your arm's bent because you're wanting to pull forward. So if you move your bar forward, you'll be able to ski with a straighter arm, which will make life a lot easier.
Okay, not a problem. Well, that's pretty much for our segment on handles. We're just going to go to some GoPro footage from Team Merckforce at the recent Queensland State Titles. I hope you all enjoyed our first episode of SkiRace TV. We had a ball filming it, so don't forget to check us out on Facebook and like our page for all future updates and episodes. If there's anything you'd like to see on SkiRace TV, send us an email at skiracetv@chrismickindustries.com.au. It will see you at the races.